Guys, we're back to the channel. Oh my gosh, it's been a long time since we've been here. It's been 2 months since I've done an update video, but it's been a month since I've even dropped a video, which is insane. Also, I'm on a brand new camera. Braxton got me a new camera for Christmas. I'm so excited, but I don't know what I'm doing. So hopefully the picture looks okay and everything. But anyways, Kroy's also losing his mind in the background. Yeah. He got a shot today, so he's not a happy boy. But anyways, I just wanted to update you guys on everything that's been going on with the boys, why we haven't dropped any videos, why Vlogmas ended, what's been happening in our lives, and it's craziness. Everything has been completely insane. So that's why you guys have not seen us for a long time. Honestly, I don't even know where to start. I didn't even go back and watch the last update video like I normally do and write down like what I talked about and what's happened since then, because I don't even think I could probably document everything that's happened since then. Life kind of did a 360 and we were really overwhelmed for a minute and just kind of had to take a step back again, like we have to do sometimes. And I hate doing that just because, first of all, I love making YouTube videos. I feel like it's kind of my escape and how I'm able to stay sane, kind of. It's like my outside activity, and it's also my job and my income. So when I don't drop videos, I don't make money, and so that has been a little bit difficult too, obviously. We have had some really tough times the last couple months, so I'm just gonna get on into everything that's been going on, what's happening, what our plans are, and hopefully you guys have missed us just as much as we miss you and are excited to hear the update on the boys and how they're doing. So if you follow me on other social media, you've probably known it's been like all over the place and we've just had like a lot going on. I had all these plans for the boys for like Christmas and for Vlogmas, and it just ended up going a little bit south. So the first thing that happened was we got sick, and then we got exposed to COVID at the same time as being sick, so then we had to quarantine from the hospital. And then it's kind of a long whole journey, but basically we had another COVID exposure in a roundabout way through the family because one family member got sick and then another, and so we were like exposed. And so the last time that we've been at the hospital was December 27th. So now, you know, it's January, and you know, second week of January, and we haven't seen the boys since then. So that has been really difficult, and especially because if you've followed my other social media, you know that Ezra got extremely sick, and it was right around Christmas time. So I basically stopped doing Vlogmas because of Daxon stuff going on, and then Daxon got better and was doing good, and then Ezra took like a 360 for the worst and we almost lost him, and so that's kind of what we've been dealing with. I'm gonna start with Kroy just because he's the easiest. Obviously, he's been home for 3 months. He's doing fantastic. He started rolling over, which has been really excited to see him do, and he laughs nonstop. Like, his personality has really just come out, and I'm going to be dropping some day in the life vlogs very soon for you guys, like next week soon. That way, you know, you guys can see just kind of what our daily life has turned into with him and our routine. And I don't know, he's doing really good. He's still seeing OT and PT. He's not taking any bottles right now, which is the most frustrating thing with him, just because I really want him to eat and like graduate the G-tube, but I know ultimately like time will tell and it's all on his terms. So I also am planning to do a video kind of over being like a special accommodation mom and some of like my favorite G-tube products, or you know, things that you can expect to see from our lifestyle products that have like saved us, if that makes sense. So I'm excited to do that video for you guys. He is doing good. Other than that, no real changes. He's getting so big, he has so much hair, and I think that he will probably be getting better at rolling and maybe working on crawling soon, which is so crazy. 8 months old now, and yeah, just thriving. He sleeps all the way through the night, sleeps 12 hours, and we're trying to get him kind of on like a nap schedule right now to prepare for Daxon coming home. So fingers crossed on that. So I'm moving to Daxon. So like I said, I don't even remember the last time I talked to you guys about them, but I think we were just like getting him ready for surgery basically. So Daxon finally had his esophagus repaired, which was December 8th, and he has been doing really good since then and making so much progress, but it has obviously been like a long time coming. So like I said, he had surgery December 8th. We're now like 5, almost 6 weeks, I think, post-op. And so now it's basically just been about him coming off of all of his medications, so all of his pain meds, his sedation meds. They kept him sedated for a long time, and then he finally was able to wake up. And so after his paralytic and sedation meds came off, he woke up, and then he was able to start getting foods through his J-tube. They had to switch his G-tube to a J-tube during his surgery of his esophagus repair. Basically, like I told you guys, if you haven't already been following, they took Daxon's stomach and they pulled it up into his esophagus and connected it to the small piece of esophagus that he did have, and basically made him his own esophagus, because he wasn't born with a full connecting esophagus. So because of that, he can no longer have a G-tube in his stomach, because if you think about it, his stomach is like, not only is it not in the same spot, it's clear up here, but it's also stretched out. And so he can't have a lot of food all at once. And so he is on continuous feeds 24 hours a day right now. So that's what kind of his food source looked like. And then we basically had to just keep working up to get him off of his TPN and lipids, which is the IV nutrition that he gets. And yeah, it took some time, but he tolerated it really well. And over the last like 6 weeks or so, he's made a really good recovery. He's almost completely at full feeds now, and hopefully we'll be coming home super soon, which is so exciting. Of course, I'll be vlogging that. I wouldn't miss that for the world. The thing that's different about him is he is going to come home on continuous feeds, so he's going to be being fed 24 hours a day, which is a pain in the butt, to be honest with you guys. And he will also be coming home on some sort of oxygen, so that's a lot to add to our stress. It would have been nice to not have to deal with that stuff, but again, he's coming home, he's alive, and I'm so grateful and I'm so excited for him to come home. So he basically has just been recovering this whole time. They went in and did a scan kind of his esophagus to make sure everything still looked like it was connected, and the anastomosis that they made was good and everything looks good, no leaking or anything like that. He actually today, as you're watching this video, since I filmed this in advance, is having another surgery. So he is having his J-tube fixed. So basically his tube that now goes straight into his intestines and feeds him is leaking and having some issues. So they're just going in and doing like a revision surgery on that and fixing it. And so he will be having that done. And then other than that, he's honestly just been same old Daxon, just being the strong kid that he's always been and just working closer and closer to getting home. So we're so over the moon excited for that. And I know you guys are going to be super excited to hear that too. They said it was going to be right at a month, and we're at 5 weeks, and we're like very, very close. I can't tell you like how close, but very close. So just keep us in your prayers that he can come home super soon and that everything just keeps going good with him, I guess, and we can get him off this oxygen eventually, and hopefully our ride home with him will be smooth, not as in like from the hospital, but like just bringing him home. And I don't know, I'm so excited, you guys. Like, I seriously could not be more excited for him to come home. Ezra is my my problem child, but I love him dearly. He's a mama's boy. But Ezra was doing super good. He was on non-invasive support the last time that I had updated you guys, that I do know, and they were really hoping that they could move him to CPAP soon, which is crazy. All of a sudden he got super duper sick, like deathly sick and critically ill out of nowhere, and we were not allowed to be at the hospital during that time. So that made it, I take that back, we were allowed to be at the hospital for a little bit with him, and then the COVID exposures happened, and so then in the midst of him being like critically ill, we couldn't come back to the hospital. So basically we got a call that he had an echo of his heart, and it showed that he was developing severe pulmonary hypertension. And you guys can look that up if you want, pulmonary hypertension, pediatric pulmonary hypertension. He has PPH in, so it's like continuous, pulmonary hypertension basically. So you can look it up and kind of research a little bit more about what that is, but basically his heart was going into overdrive. So they immediately told me he has to be reintubated like today. And I was like, whoa. And that was at the beginning of December, part of when we quit Vlogmas, because that happened. And so we were dealing with that and him, getting reintubated, which was really hard to see. And then coming to terms with the fact that he is going to need a tracheostomy, which we have been hoping to avoid literally the last 8 months. That has been on my radar. Something we really prayed that we were going to be able to avoid. And it's not because I'm anti-trach or anything like that, but it's a lot. And we already have 3 babies, and the other 2 will be home by the time Ezra comes home. And it's just a lot that goes into it. And of course, it's like extra machines and medical equipment. And so it's just a lot to take in, and it's a lot to consider. And so it wasn't that we don't want to do what's best for him, or that, we wouldn't do what it takes to get him healthy, but we were really trying to avoid it. But I told Braxton from day one, and we came to the conclusion that if he were to get put back on the ventilator and there, wasn't any sign of him coming off anytime soon, then we would definitely go the tracheostomy route, because the tracheostomy is basically put into their neck, and he'll be connected to a ventilator, but it will be a stable airway for him to be able to come home on. He'll eventually grow out of it. They say that the average that they're on the ventilator is like maybe 6 to 12 months, and then usually they have it out by the time they're like 2. So it could be longer. I'm not saying that, there's not a special circumstance, because obviously we seem to beat odds quite a bit, but hopefully he will just be able to work his way off of it. And I have faith, since his settings were honestly doing pretty good on the non-invasive, that he just needed a little bit more time, and his lungs need, a stable airway to develop, and that means that we have a plan as far as him coming home. In my head, this is what I'm thinking whenever he was sick at the beginning of December. We go to the pre-trach meeting, and they schedule surgery for December 30th. And they were like, that's the soonest that we can get him in. And so we had to know in our brains that we were going to be sitting with him sick for like 2 weeks at this point, and on the vent. Well, little did we know, gradually things just started getting worse. He developed pneumonia again and a secondary infection. And when that happened, they moved surgery to January 7th for his trach, because they said there's no way that he will be able to have surgery with these infections. He has to be off of antibiotics and run his 2-week course of that. So they immediately put him on antibiotics, and he's on the ventilator. He starts getting maxed out on support and going up, then needing so much additional help to breathe. And then basically his pulmonary hypertension got horrible. It was like out of control and we couldn't maintain it. And so he ended up being on 100% oxygen on the ventilator. His PEEP went up from 10 to 13, and he just got super, super sick. So then they put him on nitric oxide, they put him on sildenafil, they put him on Remodulin, and well, actually I'll take it back. Before they put him on Remodulin, they basically had a conversation with us like, if he gets any worse, he's probably not going to make it, because we have absolutely nowhere to go at this point. And the only reason I'm not crying talking about this is because he's in a better, more stable place now. So if you guys would have had me filmed like a couple weeks ago, even like honestly even like a week ago, you wouldn't be seeing this side of me. But I'm having faith in God and trusting this process, and so I'm a little bit more stable than I was mentally, because that's honest to God the reason that we haven't been dropping videos, because too much has happened. Fast forward, anyways, he got super sick and we didn't know if he was gonna make it. We got to see him 2 days after Christmas. That was the last day we got to see him. At that time he was completely maxed out on all support, and they told me the day before we came in that they had one more medication left to try, and if that didn't work and he declined, he was on the road to dying. So that's basically where we were with Ezra. I have never lost hope as much as I did this time with him, and it's not because I like didn't believe in him or think he could do it, but I just felt really defeated by this whole thing and this whole process, and just was like, every time we take a step forward, it feels like we take 15 backwards. And so I think it was just like mental, trauma and just like stress on us. And I honestly did lose a little bit of faith and was very concerned. That's probably the most scared I've been for one of my children to not make it. I probably tied with the whole Daxon situation, but I don't know, because with Daxon they at least felt like we had a solution, like when he had those air pockets in his lungs and they could go in and maybe drain him. But with Ezra it was like, we don't know anything, there's like nothing else we can do at this point. With Daxon there was like other options, so they basically even like, we talked about ECMO with him, but they were like, we don't want to put him on ECMO, because when he comes off of ECMO he's still going to have pulmonary hypertension, so if we don't get to the root of that and fix that and treat that, then it's not going to do us any good. Basically we started Remodulin, and they said we should see a positive impact on him within 24 hours. It was like a couple days and we hadn't seen any improvement, and I was like, well, this isn't it. And I know that this is horrible, but we mentally, I think we're like starting to prepare ourselves for very worst case scenarios with him, because he was so sick. Like, I'll post some pictures on the screen for you guys to see, but like he didn't even look like Ezra. It's crazy to see like what he looked like a couple weeks before that, and then seeing him so sick like that, he just looked like a completely different kid, and it just looked like he had like nothing left in him at this point. I've never seen him look so bad. So that was just really hard. And then of course not being able to be there because we got exposed to COVID twice. We also got super sick at one point, so that was no fun. Me and Kroy we ended up being sick for a while. That was not fun at all, obviously. Then he just kind of slowly, and I mean like microscopically, started making small improvements on his oxygen. So they were able to kind of wean his oxygen. So he went from like 100% to like 90, and then it was like 85. I mean, it was very slow over like a 2-week span where I feel like he was making like very, very minimal progress. And so basically they just kept weaning that, and then they were like, hopefully, we can just keep weaning this and just get him into a more stable place to where we at least have some room to move. Then they made the decision on Friday of last week, so the last Friday, to finally take his paralytic off, so the medication that keeps him paralyzed, because you don't want to keep, a baby paralyzed for a long period of time. They had tried to take it off 2 times already, and he freaked out. Like, it was not a good thing. His oxygen shot back up to 95%, and he was uncomfortable. His stats were all over the place, so they were very hesitant to try and take it off again. but he seemed like he was in a better place Friday. So Friday they were like, let's try and take the paralytic off and see how he does. He has done great since then. He's still off the paralytic, so he's awake, and I'll post a little picture of him. And he's doing a little bit better, so we're hoping he's headed in the right direction. When I say a little bit better, for him, it's like a lot better because he was so sick. So they actually decided they would start weaning his nitric oxide because his oxygen requirements have stayed about the same. So the nitric oxide is what we need to get off to get him for surgery. And I think one misconception is that when he gets trach surgery, I think everybody's like, oh, well, if they could just get him down to get trach surgery, then he would, he'd be better. He's on a ventilator right now, so he's still going to be on a ventilator with the trach. He can just get out of bed and move and be a normal baby and develop normally. I mean, yes, it is a little bit tricky to have him crawling and moving around with something in his neck and connected to a ventilator, but it's not a tube down his throat and it's not as invasive, so he actually can be a normal baby. He can do everything at the same time as Daxon and Kroy besides go swimming in a swimming pool. That's pretty much it. He can start eating whenever they eat. He can drink bottles. He can crawl. He can, so it's worth it to us to support him developmentally. And I think we had prayed and prayed and prayed for God to give us an answer on this trach. And like, what do we need to do? Do we give him more time? Do we let him, get bigger and grow and develop? Because he was on non-invasive support, and so it wasn't really bothering him developmentally to not have a trach placed. But then as time went on, and this obviously was our answer to a really big question, and I think was something that we needed to happen. Maybe not have him so sick that we thought he was going to not make it, but have him in a place where we knew for sure 100% what direction we needed to go, and that was definitely our answer. So I think that is a positive experience from all of this, and that we can, move forward. And the best part about it is that we can have a little map outlined for us as far as what we need to hit for him to come home. So 8 months in, you guys, we're 8 months in. Who would have known that this journey would last this long? But we are one step closer every day, and Kroy and Daxon's hopefully going to be home super soon, and we have 2 out of the 3, which is crazy to me because I'm just like, in my head it feels like they're never going to be home. And so now, with even Ezra knowing it's going to be a long time, we have a plan. They're now weaning his nitric oxide, which is one of the medications that he needs to come off of for surgery. So they moved it from 20 to 15 and then 15 to 10 today, and they said that if he's still doing good, then they'll maybe even wean it again tonight. So that's really exciting. I don't even know by the time you guys see this video on Thursday what he'll be on. Hopefully maybe even like 5 by then or less than that. So that would be really positive. And then his oxygen needs just need to come down. They're at like 58-ish right now, and they want to see them in like the 40s to go for his trach surgery. So hopefully maybe like 2 weeks. I don't know. I'm shooting that random out of my head. Maybe a couple weeks, few weeks, a month, he can be in a really solid place and be able to get scheduled for surgery. So as scary as like the trach is, I know like you guys will be on our journey with us. I'm really nervous for multiple reasons. I'm nervous about how people are going to look at him, or how people are going to think of us, or feel bad for our family. I don't want it to be that way. I want them to look at him like he's any other baby, and he's going to have just as good of a life as brothers, because we won't let him not. But I'm nervous for him being behind from brothers, because he will. I mean, it's just inevitable with how long he's had to be paralyzed and sedated. He is definitely far behind, but we'll work with him and get him going, and hopefully he can just get to a good place for surgery, have his surgery, and then hopefully he can have like a gentle recovery. I know a trach surgery is a very, very big surgery, and there's a lot that goes into that, so it's gonna be a long recovery for him, but I'm praying like after we recover we can get on the road to being home. So they said that the soonest he could come home after trach surgery is 3 months. So let's say he has surgery in a month, which I don't know when he'll have surgery. That puts us in like the middle of February, so he will definitely be home after his first birthday, which is hard, but hopefully, I don't know, before summer happens, like we can get him home and I don't know, just start enjoying life a little bit more, not worrying about the hospital so much. I feel like we lose a lot of our sanity driving to the hospital, and now it's going to be even harder with Daxon coming home soon to get down there because it's an hour away, and we have 2 babies at home now. We are getting some sort of nursing set up if we can get approved for Daxon, and then Ezra will have to have nursing when he comes home for 24 hours for the first 2 weeks, and then it'll drop off some. So we'll have to get that set up, which means our whole lives are basically about to change again, and it's going to be a lot, but you guys will be here every step of the way, and I love, having you guys as a part of our lives and our journey. I promise I'm getting back on the wagon here and getting some more content posted for you guys. Ezra will basically have to have his own room and set up, and it's a lot going on, but we are hoping we can get a new car soon. soon, get on the road to buying a new house, which you guys will be a part of. I'm really excited just to kind of see things falling into place. It's really easy to sit and focus on all of the negative things going on with, you know, Ezra or our lives in general. Like, let's be honest, it kind of sucks sometimes. But then I like see Kroy and I'm just like, you guys are the light of my life. Like, I don't know where I would be without them right now, and they've made everything like worth it for sure, even though they're very, very complex, complicated kids, but they're worth every single part of this journey. And I'm so excited just to have an end date in mind. Like, at least we're working towards something now with Ezra, and so that's promising to me, and he will be home with brothers where he needs to be. And I hope, honestly, like, through this journey, I don't know why we were put in this position or why God gave us such a difficult path, but I hope that we can help other people and inspire other people through this, and, you know, just be a light for people and a help for people. And, you know, there's definitely other people who have had it way worse than we have too. So it's easy to focus on the negatives, but we have to focus on the fact that Ezra's alive. All three of them are here. They, you know, came so early, 3 months before they were supposed to be here, and we've made it this far. And that's just a blessing in itself. So I hope that, you know, this video finds you. I hope you guys had great holidays and had a good time with your families, had good breaks off of work and stuff. I am gonna go attend to my screaming child, even though Braxton has him, he's fine. But I love you guys so much. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the updates on the boys. Keep praying for us, and we will see you on Sunday for another video. And yes, it's coming. I'm very excited. And guess what it is? The nursery tour, finally. I know, you guys are looking at me like you're lying, but it's actually coming this week on Sunday. It's already in the process of being filmed. So the nursery's done and it's ready to happen. So I'm going to show it to you guys, and I'm excited for you to see it. I love you so much. Cannot wait to be back and posting. It's a brand new year. We're going to have all 3 babies home, and that's that. I love you guys. Goodbye.